She was born a minor German princess, unloved by her husband, surrounded by enemies. Yet she rose to become the longest reigning female ruler in Russian history. Catherine the Great didn't just inherit an empire, she rebuilt it from the bones. And behind the palace walls, she rewrote the idea of what a woman could be, with power, intelligence, and ruthless ambition. She wasn't Russian. Born in 1729 as Sophia von Holtz-Zerbst, she came from a small, impoverished noble family in what is now Poland. At 14, she was chosen to marry the heir to the Russian throne, Peter, a strange, moody boy with little interest in her, or in ruling. She converted to Orthodoxy, changed her name to Ekaterina, and arrived in a court filled with suspicion and danger. What few realize is that Catherine prepared for power long before she took it. She taught herself Russian in secret, read political philosophy late into the night. And when her husband became emperor in 1762, she already knew what had to be done. Peter III ruled for just 6 months. In that time, he alienated the church, the military, and most of his own court. Catherine moved quickly. With the support of key officers and a quiet coup, she overthrew him without bloodshed. Peter was forced to abdicate and died shortly after in mysterious circumstances. Catherine became empress. Not by birth, not by right, but by will. What followed was one of the most ambitious reigns in European history. Catherine modernized the Russian legal system, built schools for girls, and corresponded with the leading thinkers of the Enlightenment. She expanded the empire's borders through diplomacy and war, adding Crimea, parts of Poland, and vast territories in the Black Sea region. Under her, Russia became a cultural and military superpower. But her rule wasn't just power and progress. It was control, firm, centralized, and unshakable. She knew image was everything. Catherine commissioned dozens of portraits, statues, and memoirs. She invited artists and scientists to her court and built the Hermitage Museum as a showcase for Russian greatness. Yet behind the art was discipline. She crushed revolts, especially the massive Pugachev Rebellion, a brutal uprising of peasants and Cossacks. And while she spoke of freedom and equality in her letters, she also strengthened the power of the nobility over serfs. The ideals of the Enlightenment served her, but only when they served the state. One of the myths often repeated is that Catherine ruled through lovers. Yes, she had favorites, many of them. But these were often brilliant statesmen and military minds. They advised her, carried out reforms, helped shape policy. It wasn't scandal. It was strategy. Catherine didn't hide from power, she used it, in every form available to her. Less known is how deeply she feared instability. Having taken the throne in a coup, she never forgot how fragile monarchy could be. She kept tight control of the court, maintained detailed intelligence networks, and trained her son, Paul, with suspicion, afraid he might repeat his father's mistakes. She even considered bypassing him entirely, placing her grandson on the throne instead. That decision was never made. Catherine died in 1796, at 67 years old, still on the throne, still in control. She ruled for 34 years. Longer than any woman in Russian history. And when she died, she left Russia larger, richer, and more complex than it had ever been. She was not kind. Not soft. Not a figure of romance. She was, above all, a ruler, a woman who saw the world not as it was, but as it could be remade. And then did it. In the centuries since, Catherine's story has been twisted, turned into myth, rumor, and scandal. But the truth is more powerful than any gossip. Because she didn't just take the crown. She wore it, reshaped it, and passed it on, heavier than she found it.